Out front now, Pastor Jamal Bryant for his exclusive first television interview since announcing this protest of Dollar General. And Pastor Bryant, just to start here, Target admitted that their sales were down almost 4% last quarter. And they specifically admitted that it was due in part to your boycotts over its rollback of some DEI policies. So why now zero in on Dollar General when obviously there are other companies out there, by the way, dime a dozen, who have rolled back their diversity, equity, and inclusion policies?
First, I've got to take note that this boycott against Target is the most successful boycott by black people in 70 years since the Montgomery bus boycott. They lost $12 billion in valuation. Their stock tumbled from $145 a share to $93 a share. The CEO's salary was cut by 43%. And so I just wanted to put an asterisk of what happens when our community mobilizes and stays focused. We have canceled Target with 13 weeks in and decided we shouldn't have to grovel for respect when we give $12 million a day. We chose Dollar General because, quite frankly, as you just aforementioned, they're 3 times larger than Target and Walmart combined and have never given to any organization within the black community. Dollar General is within 5 miles of 75% of Americans' homes and still no accountability. They are a contributor to food deserts, not just in absence of food, but absence of fairness. And so we wanted to hold them accountable.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we got to talk about the Target DEI boycotts led by woke activists like Jamal Bryant and Al Sharpton and Roland Martin and others, okay? Because it seems like these boycotts are backfiring on so-called black businesses, okay? The whole point of the boycotts were to punish Target for rolling back DEI, aka rolling back discrimination against whites, okay? And these black activists decided that it would be a good idea to boycott Target because, hey, they want to show Target that the power of the black dollar is strong, right? This is what they claim, okay? And they're now kind of taking a victory lap over Target because Target has struggled in the first quarter of 2025. They've had a sales decline of 3.8%. They're facing stiffer competition from Walmart and Amazon. Amazon and Walmart seem to be better equipped to handle what is going on with the tariffs. And they're saying that they're also experiencing a foot traffic decline year over year of 6.5 to 9% in the first quarter of 2025 with 11% decline on boycott days. Okay, so basically what they're saying is that, yes, we are experiencing a decline in sales, and the sales are not just attributed to the macroeconomic environment, but also the boycotts as well too. And it seems as if some of these black-owned businesses are being hit the hardest because the overall sales, again, are down about 3.5%. However, for some of these black businesses, they're saying that their sales are down 30 to 40%, okay, at Target, which is huge, right? That's a huge loss in revenue for these businesses. And you have some of the business owners speaking out about this and saying that, our sales, we're struggling. Our businesses are doing terrible at Target. Take a look.
It is so crazy to me when people ask me like how our Target business is doing, and then I tell them that it's terrible, that people are shocked. They're like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, our sales are down 30, 40%. Like, that's exactly what we thought was going to happen. And that's not to say that people should continue or go back to shopping at Target. It's just to say that we knew that there was going to be a huge impact. And in order to offset that impact, it requires people to be really intentional about where they are shopping. Meaning you have to go directly to that business, either to that business's website or shopping them in other channels. But like, we knew that was going to happen. The question is, can businesses sustain in the event that people don't go back to Target, period? So like, where do the dollars come from?
There's so many authors out there whose books have been released, and people may or may not know this, but Target is a huge book retailer, right? That they sell our books. And so because of the boycott, Many of our Black authors' books did not sell well because people were not purchasing the books because they're sold at Target. This affected their sales. It affected their ability to be on the New York Times bestseller list. But the bigger issue is that it also affects the next deal opportunity for them to write another book with their publisher, right? So I want us to be mindful. I know that we say that, there's a boycott happening. Give us a direct link where we can support you. Please do support. If you don't want to, order from Target, I get it. But if they give you a link to buy directly from them, do that. If they say, okay, it's available on Amazon or on Barnes & Noble or independent bookstores, purchase from them. Because if not, they may not make their numbers. They may not get their next book deal. They're not making the New York Times bestseller list. All these things are happening to Black authors. And we got to be mindful of that. Especially a lot of them are first-time authors. And now these numbers are not reflecting what is their truth, right? They're talented writers with beautiful stories. And they're being affected by this, something that they did not do, right? None of us did this, right? So I just want us to be mindful that we're truly being supportive, but also to the publishers. Please don't look at these numbers right now and think that these writers, like this is their sales. These are not a true reflection of their fan base or, of their writing. It's just that we are in a real boycott and they are being affected.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Okay, now I will say this. When these people first announced this boycott, I did not think that the boycott would be as successful as it allegedly is, right? I mean, Target is attributing some of their sales decline to the boycott, even though I'm not entirely convinced that Target's main problem has to do with the boycott as much as it has to do with the macroeconomic environment that is probably leading to less foot traffic, okay, less consumer spending and things like that. I'm not convinced that the boycott is their main issue, right? But again, we are seeing a serious sales decline for these so-called Black-owned businesses. And I did say initially when this news came out that, hey, if this boycott is successful, it's going to hurt so-called Black-owned businesses the most, right? Because if Black people are not shopping at Target and they're not buying from these so-called Black-owned businesses, which, by the way, the target audience of these so-called Black-owned businesses are Black people, right? Especially when you talk about products like lip bars and some of these other products as well, too, that seem to be, targeting, Black women or Black consumers. That is definitely going to have a negative impact if Black people aren't shopping at Target. And I guess you also have probably white liberals who are supporting this as well, too, not shopping. And that's probably the main reason for why Target sales are declining as a result of the boycott. But regardless, again, what you're seeing is that the businesses that are being hurt the most overwhelmingly are so-called Black-owned businesses. Again, you see the lip bar, they had a decline in sales of about 30%, right? That is huge. And it's not just that business. There are also other businesses as well, too, as outlined by the Wall Street Journal. They did a podcast interview and they got statements from so-called Black-owned businesses, their founders and creators, about their struggles when it comes to the sales at Target. Like, for example, this business, Play Pits, they said that they had experienced a 30% decline in sales as well, too. Now, they do say that sales on other channels have risen by the same amount, but regardless, that's still a huge hit, okay? Let's read here. Chantel Powell, who is the founder of this business, she worries that as boycotts continue to limit Play Pit's sales at Target, they put the company's place on shelves at risk. Quote, if we have low sales month over month, week over week, they may look at my brand and say we don't deserve to be on the shelves, and we absolutely deserve to be on the shelves. She said, my competitors are Procter & Gamble and Unilever, so it's very hard to compete with them from a marketing standpoint. You have another business called Beautiful Curly Me that sells plush dolls, I believe. They're saying their sales have declined, okay? All of these companies, okay, Lemick Beauty, who sells beauty products. Okay. Her sales have declined. That is what they're reporting here to the Wall Street Journal. You also have Black Men Smile, okay, which apparently is a clothing company. They're no longer being carried by Target. Okay, so you have some brands that are being dropped altogether. And again, this is what I'm talking about in regards to what I was warning people about at the beginning of this boycott, which is that, hey, if this boycott is successful, which I didn't think it would be as successful as it is, even though I'm not entirely convinced that, again, Target's main problems come from the boycott. But regardless, I said, listen, these black businesses are going to be affected the most. Okay. And what's going to happen here is that you're going to see these black businesses lose sales. And unless they can make that up in other places and do that over a long period of time, right? That's the key. The key is to do it over a long period of time. It's one thing for them to see a push in sales or more sales, an increase in sales from these other channels over the short term, but over the long term, that's what really matters, okay? Because when you're on the shelves of a big retail store like Target, that is constant foot traffic. I mean, you talk about day in, day out foot traffic that, it's hard to replicate on a website or, some other outlet, some other avenue for sales, okay? I mean, it's really hard to replace that. And I think that is what a lot of these businesses are worried about, which is that, hey, this fad might cause Target to drop us permanently. And over the long term, we're not going to be able to make up for that on our website, right? And other outlets. And I think that is essentially what a lot of these businesses are concerned about. And that is what I would be concerned about if I was the CEO or if I was the founder of one of these businesses, which is that, in the short term, you may have people buying these products through other avenues on the website and other places. But how does this play out over the long term when we don't have our products on the shelves of a big box retailer like Target? And that's not the only thing that these people should be worried about, right? These people who claim to be so pro-black, right? We're so pro-black that we're going to hurt black businesses to hurt Target, right? Which, again, the whole DEI thing, they claim mainly benefits white women. So they're boycotting Target over a program that they ended that these same activists will claim mainly benefits white women. And now they're hurting black businesses. So what happens when Target now starts to issue mass layoffs? Okay, when you talk about black people who work at Target, okay, who make up, I believe, about 15% of their workforce. Well, what happens when Target starts to lay off those black folks? Is Jamal Bryant, is Roland Martin, is Al Sharpton, is all these people who are supporting these boycotts, are they going to employ these black folks, right, that eventually will lose their jobs as a result of the boycotts, right? If they want to continue to do this, are they going to help them get back on their feet when they lose their job? Who knows, right? I'm just saying, I highly doubt it. And again, I just got questions about whether or not the loss in sales from Target over the long term can be made up by these activists pushing the boycotters to shop directly at these black businesses. Can they make up for the loss of retail traffic? Okay, that is a big question. And again, I just have my doubts, right? I think that this is going to cause more harm to so-called black businesses than good. But hey, at least you're sticking it to the white man, right? At least you're sticking it to Target, right? You're sticking it to big corporate America over their DEI rollback, okay? I think that personally, this is probably going to backfire in the long term, but we'll see. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.